here in time.
Sammy Tukeman is a San Diego area player. I know him well as he defeated me in the gunslinging during the M13 pre-release.
Ooh.
So,
took a
looking to add another notch to the belt. So this is a Merfolk mirror, it appears.
Oh, how lucky.
The difference here is Sammy is playing no Wastelands. He's just playing 1 Cavern, 15 Island, 4 Mutavault.
Yep.
The main decks are very similar, it would appear. 2 Phantasmal Images against.
Greg Hatch has 3 Vapor Snags. That's
yes.
a big difference.
Yeah, 3 copies of Vapor Snag, which I assume would be good in this matchup, though I'm not positive.
Fine. You can throw out the Lord math and everything.
Yeah. Sammy also has a main deck copy of Fumizawa's Jitte, which is devastating. A main deck dismember. And one, I guess we're back in 2010 when the Merfolk Mirror match is a big thing. A single copy of Lawan, Cephalid Empress in the sideboard.
You got to play with the fear, right?
Yeah. So Lord of Atlantis is the kind of the key card here in the Merfolk Mirror. It just turns your team into an unblockable squad. There's a Cavern of Souls.
It is interesting that Greg went ahead and just jammed his Lord without Fear of Days. I think that's kind of how you have to play these matchups a lot of the time, which is you just got to get to the board.
Right, and you have so many spells in your hand, they're so redundant that you can't really, you just got to cast what you can cast. So Master of the Pearl Trident, the M13 Lord of Atlantis 5 through 8.
Yep, who did very little to actually change the board position thanks to Greg's Lord of Atlantis.
Yeah.
Mutavault.
There's a Mutavault. So I'm not sure if Tukeman's changed to the deck where related, it's possible it's card accessibility. He might not have 4 copies of Wasteland, but certainly there is something to be said for having a slightly more stable mana base.
Sure.
The problem with some of the Merfolk lists I've seen that are more on like the 12 island, 13 island range, you don't have Aether Vial. You often don't have double blue. Yeah. So Tukeman's list with the 15 islands and the 1 Cavern of Souls makes it a lot more reliable that he'll be able to have double blue in the event that he doesn't have.
I saw that very issue crop up in Seattle during a Merfolk Mirror in the semifinals, where the inconsistency just got punished. Got another Curse Catcher for Greg.
Surprised you wouldn't send your Mutavault in there.
Well, he just played it.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yep. That was his turn. That would explain it. Nice play by Gregory Hatch not attacking
with the summoning signal.
With his Mutavault. That is why they are out there and I am here.
Well, it looks like Greg's thinking. Makes me wonder what his other card might be. Maybe an image he's considering?
Yeah, although if he had a Phantasmal Image, you would assume that he would lead
the Phantasmal Image to play
on Lord of Atlantis and just start. Oh, he might have Vapor Snag.
Oh, that would be.
Alright, yep.
Vapor Snag. Good call.
Still got it. Yeah, it's a Vapor Snag.
Yeah. Well, that's going to give him a pretty sizable edge on the board.
Very likely to be something close to Time Walk. I have a feeling that both of these players are going to, because of the speed of the matchup, they're both going to end up dying with cards in their hand. So that sort of exchange is just insane.
You're trying to get to the board, start forcing through damage. There are going to be creature trades, assuming there isn't a Lord in play, and if there is a Lord in play, you just got to attack each other as fast as possible.
So there's a Vial.
Vial might let Sammy catch up. It's kind of rough because he has to beat Island Walk here.
Just an update from our very helpful spotter. The Cavern of Souls named Merfolk.
That's a bold choice, Scott.
Yeah. Controversial. So, Curse Catcher in for 2.
Depending on Greg's hand, he may be sending in the Mutavault here.
Oh, sorry, it's for 3 because the Lord of Atlantis
does pump it.
Yeah, pumps opposing Merfolk. They don't make Lords like they used to.
Nope, they make them a lot better.
They make them a lot more powerful.
Yep, looks like this guy's going in. Greg knows what's important in this match, which is damage and a board advantage. He's already got the board advantage. Yep. Now he's got the damage too.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine that Sammy is going to have enough turns. I mean, he's basically looking at dead on board.
Very close.
Yeah. He needs to have a plethora of Lords to get out of this one.
He just took 7. He's dead to a Vapor Snag. If he attacks with too many creatures, he'll also be dead to just the Lord starting to rumble.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have. I'm pretty sure if he had Snag, he would just fire it off on his own turn before animating his Mutavault. because he was willing to main phase it before.
Well, I don't know if that's true because he can just snag, like the snag is lethal on his next turn also. And I would really value getting in that hit with the Mutavault. Like if he curse catchers my snag, I might just have to let it resolve, which is really awkward.
So
dazed.
We're going to hit the Phantasmal Image with a Daze. This basically prevents the Mutavault from attacking this turn.
Which is exactly the kind of player we were just talking about, using your counter spells just to get a little value out of your opponent's
just trying to tempo him out.
Greg doesn't really care about an additional creature on the board. That's not that relevant because they can't block.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, basically, Hatch needs to protect himself from, if he doesn't play another creature next turn, then he does not have lethal.
Yep.
He can only attack standing to 1, so he has to make sure there's no weird combination of lords and stuff that can kill him. That being said, there's not a lot of playing around that he can do because Tukeman's team also has Island Walk, so you just sort of, the cards are kind of face up. You just do what you can do.
And next turn is going to be the turn where that Vial might really pay off because once it hits 2, it can let Tukeman slide in an extra lord that Greg can't really play around in any way.
Yeah.
Tukeman wisely going to get aggressive here. Interestingly, Phantasmal Image being his blocker is actually relatively advantageous because Vapor Snag no longer kills him, right? If he has another guy.
Well, Vapor Snag kills something. Like
but he won't lose the 1 life. If he can muster another Curse Catcher or something for the Lord.
Oh, sure.
Then that's just a very tiny niche thing that might come up. I like tiny niche things. I like to imagine what's the weirdest thing that could happen. I think it's a disease you get from watching people play Magic.
Yep. So Hatch is now in a bad spot, looking at lethal on Sammy's next turn.
Yep, and he's a little shy. 1 shy, to be precise. This could be something good. Not a lot of things that cost 1 mana that are awesome right here.
Yeah. This is a very valuable lesson here. In the Merfolk Mirror, you would rather have Master of the Pearl Trident than Lord of Atlantis.
That is very true. It's actually pretty debatable. Greg's may have been done in by his own Lord here.
No.
It certainly boosted his opponent's damage potential significantly.
Although he wouldn't have been able to get through with what he has on the board.
I mean, if it was the other Lord, obviously. But yeah. You're definitely not wrong. It just sort of reduced the advantage of being on the play. Just the 1 Curse Catcher going.
So this has to imply that he's going to daze his own spell.
Yep.
To get his island off the table.
He's going to pay 1.
For it. Yep.
He appeared to not be thinking much about that one.
What's up?
He appeared to be thinking just let the Vial get countered, but yeah, I think getting it on the table is fine. Not like you're going to do anything else. It's a savvy play from Greg.
Yep.
Get that island off the board. Now we can block.
He still needs to keep his own. Unfortunately, he kind of needs to keep his Lord to be able to threaten lethal.
What's this? A Regery. So many big ones. This is bad because he now has to block.
I think this
3
is just
guys,
lethal. Yeah, it's just
and
lethal.
he can't. Yep.
So Gregory Hatch quickly down a game.
Looks like Greg thought he could have done something different based on his expression at the end of that game.
He definitely has a look.
Had
So we're gonna go to the sideboard here. Sammy has let's look at what he has. He has 4 copies of Vapor Snag himself.
Ooh.
Pretty safe to assume that's going to be coming in.
Yep.
He has a little wand, and he has a copy of Dismember. He can go up to 2 if he wants to.
Sure.
Which is fine.
Greg's got 2 Umezawa's Jitte and a Sower of Temptation, which I guess he might bring in.
Yeah, Sower's fine.
And Gilded Drake, which seems a little questionable, but when you're battling Lords, maybe.
Yeah, I think that the Merfolk deck actually doesn't have a lot of ways to contain flyers. Sure. Everything they do is on the ground with the exception of a Coral Helm Commander. So I think you would be loath to give your opponent a flying creature of that quality. If Gilded Drake didn't fly, there's probably a good argument for it because you're just island walking anyway, so that guy doesn't matter too much. Yep. But
you can Vapor Snag your Gilded Drake, which is a cute interaction.
Yeah, that's a little fancy. A little too fancy for my taste.
I do think it is kind of funny that that pre-board, Sammy has the Jitte advantage with a Jitte in the main, while Greg has Snag advantage with Snags in the main. But post-board,
Yes.
Sammy has more snags than Greg, and Greg has more jittes
yep.
than Sammy. So their various edges become reversed.
Yeah, you had to feel like that something weird happened that game because Hatch was in such a commanding position that whole time, and then just got overwhelmed.
Right around turn 3, Sammy was just able to threaten more damage in 2 turns than Greg could threaten in 2 turns.
Right.
And that just completely changed the dynamic. Close only counts in horseshoes. And hand grenades.
Hand grenades is the other one.
Hand grenades is the other one.
Yes. So, you know, a question I have in this mirror match is like, how do you value the permission? Because all the cards are interchangeable, which arguably makes Forcible kind of weak.
Yeah.
And Daze is also not excellent against a deck that's all 2 and 3 minute creatures. But the matchup is also so tempo oriented that it's possible like, those cards are just worth it. I would assume Lord of Atlantis just has to go. Like, it's just too bad.
I think you have to get rid of some copies for sure. I don't know if you board them all out because you do want, like, using him has a glorious charge of swords. It's not so bad, really.
Well, it assumes that you have a pretty developed board.
Yes.
Is the biggest problem. Like, if you have a pretty mediocre hand,
he will definitely be like a nail in the coffin type card. So I could see going. I kind of like the idea of keeping in 1 just because you want that density of lords, and you won't usually be forced to play 1 out unless you were gonna like die anyway in that position. Like if Lord of Atlantis is the only creature you can muster, then you probably weren't gonna win.
Yeah, this is true. So, yeah, both of these players clearly inspired by the fact that you know, beatdown deck with counter spells and some bounce and some phantasmal images. Very good recipe for beating specifically Reanimator while also having, you know, regular game. And I think Master of the Pearl Trident is a big change. Like, the biggest problem I had with Merfolk as a deck prior to M13 is you just have too many mopey 3-mana lords. Like, they're pretty unwieldy. There's a guy, the Sovereign, and who's just like, okay, whatever, but he's certainly not good. And Master is just another copy of a card you're thrilled to play.
Now, curiously, what do you think's one deck that if you're a mono blue Merfolk player, you're not too excited to be sitting across the table from?
On one deck, a mono blue Merfolk. Well, an obvious
popular or legacy deck?
Probably Maverick.
I agree, Maverick. And there's a lot of Maverick in this field, and yet 2 mono blue Merfolk decks, not black with perishes, but mono blue, are the 2 that are sitting up here in top 8 contention.
Yeah, Hatch has 4 copies of Submerge, which I feel is like that and a Sower, and I feel like that's at the minimum what you need to be able to fight Maverick.
I agree. I always start my blue sideboards in Legacy, which I haven't built a lot of, but when I do, I start them with Submerges because I've seen the work that card does in these tournaments, and it's massive.
I still believe, I've said this a couple times, I still believe when you can cast it is the best card in Legacy. But if it actually is the
I like that statement. Yeah, like if you're casting it for the value that it's getting you, then
there is no card.
A lot of the time, it's just like actually free Swords to Plowshares, especially with the timing you can make with fetch lands.
All right, there's an Aether Vial.
Oh, Sammy kept in those forces, but he's not going to force the Vial.
That, I don't know what else you're going to force. Now you can't force anything.
Starts with Island, and no 1-drop, so yeah, he's already looking a little behind, but he started off looking behind last time too, so.
I mean, I understand the hesitation of wanting to force there because it's like,
but
well,
especially when you
have
just
But yeah, all right. So there's a Dismember, and he's gonna daze.
Punished.
Brutal. That is a brutal turn for Tukeman.
Yeah, this game is
Tukeman maybe. I'm not sure.
Tukeman, like the Pharaoh.
Tukeman.
Silvergill Adept reveals Master of the Pearl Trident. But this is already like pretty bad shape for Sammy. That Coral Home Commander
I think he's
can jump up over
He
that
might be
guy.
debating dazing again, but I guess not.
At a minimum, he was probably representing it, which is a sweet card to rep.
I mean, daze is like a, you know, I think ideally what he wants to do this turn is vial up to 2 and level up the commander.
Yeah. I agree. That seems correct.
Like vial out a lord and then
put your opponent to dead in just like 3 swings or something like that after this turn. Seems like a reasonable position to be in.
Guess we're just casting in their commander.
Another Coral Home? That's interesting. Well, I assume we have a Lord then if this is our play. Perhaps he's considering attacking to get Sammy to block before vialing in a Lord?
Yeah, just trying to... The coast is clear. No, it's not.
Sammy figured it out.
All right,
Or
so there's a Lord of
not allowed.
Atlantis. We'll see. Hatch is obviously in a much better position to be capitalizing on this game than he was last game.
I smell a master.
Yep.
Mastery of the Pearl Trident.
So that Lord's going to get in. The Adept's going to get in for 4.
Yep. Which is a sizable chunk and would be significantly more concerning if it weren't for that Dismember. As is, Greg's just like so far ahead.
Dialing the Violet to 3, which definitely represents a Regery.
Yep. Which means that Lord of Atlantis is probably crashing in as well, you'd think.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind a trade with the Master of the Pearl Trident. I suppose he could have to fear a Vapor Snag, just getting a free Lord of Atlantis off him, but
I'm pretty sure you can't.
you still get so much damage from the commanders that what's the point, you know?
Yeah.
Paying 3. Do we have 2 Regeries? This is interesting.
Well, wouldn't you just vial the wouldn't your first order of business be to vial in the Regery?
Sure, I don't really know what he's thinking here. It's possible he's trying to represent the Regery also and doesn't have it, I guess. Like, I might do that, mess with my 3 lands and be like, oh yeah, I can vial it, and then attack or something.
Yeah, but eventually, like, the fact that you're not doing it sort of...
The jig's up at some point. Like, you can only sell this so long. Well, this is a fair bit of damage coming in. And we're attacking.
So I think he's willing to just chump attack with his Lord of Atlantis here.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, just gets off the table. His position's still commanding. He's going to hit for so much this turn. I guess he can just level his commander all the way to lethal next turn.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And he's going to go for the Regery, as predicted.
All right, there's a Regery.
I imagine that means our leveled commander will get snagged, probably.
Assuming he has a snag.
I saw that he has a snag, so.
Unless, he appears to be reaching for his pen. I think he's just taking this.
Really? I could have sworn he had a snag. Maybe it was a second master. Those cards have a similar palette.
Yeah. So I believe Sammy is just dead.
Yeah,
not even Jit gets out of this.
We're attacking.
Okay.
I don't think Greg's going to block, mostly because it's illegal.
Yeah. Basically, Sammy needs...
Sammy picks him up.
I think he needs Ensnare. That's the one card I can think of there that gets him out.
Ensnare is a sweet option. I know people started running Ensnare when the sneak attack decks started popping up as a way to keep Emrakul off their backs. It's
definitely good against sneak attack. And
in these creature
I imagine
mirrors,
it would be good in this
okay.
match. I imagine it would be good in this matchup.
I know that I can't remember who was actually boarding Ensnares. It's really awkward. I want to say it was Prozac, but that could be very wrong. I can't remember at all.
I mean, I know at the Baltimore Invitational, David Gerhardt had it in the sideboard.
That might be it, yeah.
His red, white, blue Spectral Links.
Oh, you're right. That was definitely it. That was definitely it.
It's a combo with Spectral Links because you got your lands to replay.
It's also handy against the Mother of Runes decks because it lets you burninate their guys.
Yep.
Ensnare, instep, untap.
So I know that's the only time I can recall seeing it.
Sure.
But it would definitely be good in this matchup because you're just like, your 2 ships passing in the night, you can never block because there's, you have no ways to block because there's too much island walk.
Oh yeah.
So it would be a huge way to swing the tempo. Also, if you're on 2 islands, it's also a way to potentially
it's basically
get out of the island walk trap.
It's basically a free Master Warcraft in this matchup, actually.
Right.
Control just both attack steps. No damage from you, no blockers. Okay, that sounds excellent.
Yeah, and Sammy's the mana base again. I believe is overall. There's no question I would rather have Wasteland in my deck. I actually think in the mirror match I'd rather have the more stable mana than Wasteland, which basically only fights over Mutavault.
Not a big fight.
Yeah.
I mean, Mutavault is definitely not bad in the mirror, but the problem is it's usually only relevant circa turn 4.
Yeah,
so,
I mean it's just another attacker again like we're seeing in these games, no one's actually blocking. Yep. So Mutavault just, if it's the extra attacker that you need to represent lethal in 1 turn, it's invaluable. It's not that every game, but there's sometimes the math breaks down in such a way that it is.
But Wasteland will actively keep you from casting many of your spells,
Right.
and only compares to the mutable when your opponent has one, which is obviously going to not be the vast majority of the time.
Right. So, Sammy's deck is definitely much better equipped, for example, to not have Aether Vial in its opening hand, so be able to play. He has 16 blue sources with which he can cast his Merfolk, contrasted with Hatch's 1. I wonder if you're supposed to, if you do cut Wasteland out of the deck, I wonder if you're supposed to play more than one Cavern. I could understand like 14 and 2 being correct.
Sure.
Kind of a free roll. Like, you'll have enough islands to daze. And that's really the only thing that's asking you for to control basic islands.
I think that sounds fine to me. I mean, Cavern. I don't think I like Cavern a lot in the format right now, but it is basically a free roll. Like, and you got to leverage your free rolls.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Looks like Greg's waiting to hear keep.
Yeah, Sammy's
got
keeping.
one. Greg evaluating his opener. Yep, all good.
Both keeping.
Aether Vial. Island, go.
You know, in that game, Sammy didn't force and will the
Vial,
the vial, and then ended up dying with force and will in his hand. So, I think as a rule, you just want to cast what you can cast.
It's reasonable. Master's getting dazed here.
And being willing to
Floating.
cast a master with your Violet 1 represents that you have a lot of creatures in your hand.
Yep.
He's willing to throw one out there like that.
Doesn't care about burning one, just needs to start attacking. Recognizes that he has the advantage also with a turn 1 Vial.
Although he didn't move it up to
tick it up.
Didn't move up to 2.
And didn't put a Curse Catcher in. I think we just missed our trigger, but good for Sammy. Storming on. Didn't hem and haw over that one. Either that or we're going to get a sick Curse Catcher.
Do not cast. You can't cast. You gotta be Silver Gill Adept. That's pretty much perfect.
Yep.
So, yep.
So.
There it is. There we go.
Tapped the deck that time, but we got it up to 2. A lot of islands. Rige.
Yep.
The Rige. And.
Oh, so maybe he was sitting on a Curse Catcher. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. That's interesting they decided to hold it. I don't mind holding it for the Rigery, I guess, but it didn't seem that relevant. I don't know.
Yeah, Hatch is way on the back foot here. He basically needs to find a Jit stat.
Sure. That'll get him out. I don't think maybe like Snag and his own master is reasonable, but not great.
Well, Snag is not bad because it just allows him to. Well, if the vial the vial stays set at 2, it doesn't work. But in theory, he would want to snag whatever Sammy's source of Island Walk is. And,
yeah, no, I agree with that.
And be able to block inside of combat. But I get the vibe that Hatch is just in a bad spot here.
Yeah. Was it him holding his head in his hands that tipped you off?
Yeah, I'm no mind reader or whatever. I just see what I see.
He does have a full grip over here, brimming, in fact, but
unfortunately, none of it can block.
The problem with cards in your hand is that they are not cards on the field.
Right.
He's trying to figure out which Lord might get him to a spot where he can actually do something on the next turn. He's on a pretty high life total considering the board he's facing, but that'll change rapidly. Master. I think we have an island in there, but we played one, right? No, well, we didn't play one. We can still...
Yeah, if he hasn't played a land, it means he's trying to induce a daze.
It's true.
We don't know for what.
I don't know for what either. Now I'm a little confused, but okay. Trying to think what our line was here. I'm curious.
I mean, is he just trying to bluff a kill spell to keep Sammy from attacking next turn?
It's bold.
Well, he can't even bluff anything because Sammy has Curse Catcher in play.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to play to them forgetting. I've definitely done it. You know, I don't think I would do that here, but
what this basically does is prevents Sammy from attacking with master.
Yeah.
His setup right now, so he has a little bit of time. If I was Sammy, I would be starting to take up the vial to 4 because you can cast everything that he wants to cast and play around days, whatever, the amount of lands he has in play, and you want your Lawan, your singleton Lawan to be uncounterable in the case that you draw it.
That's interesting. He is down to basically no cards, and so his merfolks are actually better when he casts them because of the Regery, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see that. Of course, you know, I don't think Sammy's focused on the singleton there. I think he just wants to get some value.
All right, well if he has Coral Helm Commander, it's much better for him to have the vial
that is
too.
fair. He has shown us the value of that vial.
He must have drawn this turn because he passed without vialing on the previous turn.
Yeah. And now we'll attack.
For a lot.
That
That's
is a
2. Each of those guys are 4, so 8.
Yep. Wow, we're in a tight spot.
We are
over
mega
here.
dead.
Tight spot.
I don't even think Jit does anything at this point.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
I mean, all his merfolks are 4/4s.
Yeah, they're
One's
just
bigger.
all huge. You can kill maybe one lord somehow. Magic. Magic you. Dismember doesn't claw us out because the Coral Helm Commander can fly and the Master's giving Island Walk, so we need 2 ways to get those off the board, so we'd have to have like Dismember and Snag.
I guess
But if we had either of
if he has
those.
Sower, he can take the Island Walker. I guess that's something.
Yeah, I guess. That would also make his keep make a lot more
Alright.
sense, yeah.
That is huge.
So we will steal the Island Walk. We have once again gained the capacity to block, and we have creatures that are pretty big.
Yeah, no, that's a big swing right there.
Yep.
If this resolves, I'm assuming it's resolving. Sammy would have, I think,
Snap
thrown
countered,
thrown
yeah.
his days across the table at him if he had one in his hand. So.
Or perhaps pass it over face down for something a little more subtle.
I don't want to make it a big scene, man. So now I think Hatch is probably debating about whether or not he wants to send his adept in, but I
Yeah.
assume he wants to play as defensive as a game as possible from here.
If he can figure out a way to handle that commander, then he can actually get ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the commander is phase 2 of this project. Figuring out something to do there.
He's doing the math on what happens if I attack, what happens if you attack this way. My gut says to make the safe one, but I'm also not an experienced merfolk player.
Sure.
I like my islands to come with mountains.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's an argument for attacking with your master because you don't
You can't
want
block,
to block.
yeah.
You don't want to block with it. Okay. So
I think that's reasonable.
We're gonna get in for 3 here.
Very carefully. My finger's still on it.
You know what?
It hasn't attacked yet.
Both of these players could really use as a vapor snag.
Yeah. Vapor Snag achieving significant penetration through all formats here.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone saw that one coming when we spoiled New Phyrexia, but
Yeah. I mean, I always felt that one of the most historically underplayed constructed level cards is Unsummon. So it doesn't surprise me too much that Unsummon plus a little bit of value. Oh no!
we didn't even shuffle it in. We're so mean.
Yeah,
Yep,
and there's
that'll
a
do it.
concession. Yeah.
Man,
Sammy wins 2 games to 1, taking down Hatch in the mirror.
that's so brutal too, because Greg thought over that turn for so long. The attack, like, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? Is this right? And then top of the deck's just the kill.
And now you know why he was willing to lean his Coral Helm Commander into Daze, was he was trying to set up Sower of Temptation for the
Yep.
following turn.
That makes sense.